Arbella Early Edition with Trenni is presented by Arbella Insurance. Here for New England sports fans. Here for good.
Black Monday has come and gone. Tuesday is in the rear view. We are now on day 3 of Belichick Watch. And still no announcement. And people are getting restless as the clock, you can hear it, it's ticking. WEEI's Andy Hart, though, not one of those restless people. Andy writes this: there is no music running out. There's no need for a decision to appease the fanatic or media masses. The important thing for Kraft and the Patriots is to make sure they do the right thing. This decision, this potential delicate divorce and new hire to begin the new era of New England football can't be rushed. Yes, it needs to be done, but most importantly, it needs to be done right. All right, welcome to Arbella Early Edition. This is our deep dive topic for day 463. Just kidding, I am Trenni Casey. This is WEEI's Andy Hart. That is our Patriots insider, Tommy Curran, and our other Patriots insider, Phil Perry. Listen, I get what you're saying, Andy. Like, okay, yeah, there's no reason to rush. But isn't there kind of a reason to rush? Because, okay, say you know who your head coach is going to be. That's fine. Maybe you want it to be Gerard Mayo. Maybe now it's Mike Vrabel. We'll get to that in a second. But you still need a GM. And you still need personnel people, and you still need to make offensive decisions. Like, the longer this takes and the less time they spend going after those guys, don't they miss out on people?
You could potentially miss out on some people. I admit that. But I think first of all, if it's sort of their plan, status quo, Gerard Mayo, in-house, Elliott Wolf, all of the things we've sort of heard along the way, well, they're here. Like, they're not necessarily going away. I know they've had some lower-level assistants that are already looking for new jobs. But I just think we get so caught up in Black Monday and by a new coach by Tuesday, you better be interviewing this. And it's like, this is the biggest decision they've made in forever, basically. I mean, certainly since letting go of Pete Carroll, who's also in the news today, to go to Bill Belichick. I mean, I think you can argue it might be bigger, and it is probably bigger than the Tom Brady decision, which Robert kind of let Bill make. This is the next, theoretically, 10, 12, 15 years of your franchise if you do it right. If you do it wrong, you're in the washing machine again in 2 years, maybe in the quarterback washing machine. So haste makes waste, or as I put in my column, the old John Wooden quote, be quick, but don't hurry.
Andy, I appreciate your logic. My question
very logical.
And maybe I'll just spin this around to Tom, if we can do it that way, is hasn't the decision been made? Are you talking about the decision on whether or not to move on from Bill Belichick, or the decision on how to handle it? Those are two different things. That, to me, is not the biggest decision they've ever made. It's a public relations statement. It's language in a contract. And, yes, you are trying to manage a relationship because you want Bill Belichick to be part of things moving forward here. But how much time does that really need? How much breathing do you have to allow for just to make sure that Bill Belichick is back for the whatever, Danny Amendola Patriots Hall of Fame induction? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Does that need a week or two? I really don't think it should.
It should not, if that was alone the only concern. But I think the disentanglement of a union that has been 24 years is going to take some time. It's going to take some attorneys. It's going to take hammering out whatever money Bill has left coming to him. It's going to take hammering out whether or not there is a trade partner or locale that they could figure out, and whether or not Bill will be amenable to that. Until all those things are fully explored and the Crafts feel comfortable with it and Bill feels comfortable with it, I think they'll withhold that. Now, your concern of, well, isn't time a waste, and how can they go ahead and interview people? I think Andy's point.
Let's be formal tonight. No, that's okay.
I think Andrew makes a good point.
Hey,
well,
Roger.
if you do intend to do myriad interviews, well, sure, you want to hammer it right out. But if your replacement is in there and your personnel department is virtually intact, then that's not the case.
Is it also possible that if you know you've made the decision to move on from Bill Belichick, that you're able to do those other things behind the scenes, like divide and conquer? Like, hey, Robert, you're going to handle the PR side and the I's and the T's with Bill, and Jonathan, you're going to start to handle the personnel side.
Well, the old 6 Ps that football coaches say. Prior planning prevents performance. Like, if you have already planned, you have a little bit more calmness. If this is an emotional hire or firing, yeah. But have we all? The thing that I would say I find interesting is I think we've all accepted that it is just the details that's being ironed out. Based on my interactions with callers, Twitter, there's a large portion of New England fans that don't think that's the case, right? Like, there are still fans waiting to get that announcement that Bill Belichick is back for one more year. So there is a little difference between maybe what we feel and what the masses feel.
Yeah, and I think that really depends upon your level of access and what you do for work. You know, if you're an electrician and Pepperell, you might not have the opportunity to know directly what's going on. So I think that because we do what we do, we have better intel than they do. So they're of a mind that there is no decision made, that Bill has a chance to wriggle off the hook and come back, that he might still be doing X, Y, or Z, or maybe Mike Vrabel comes in, and the two work together. I mean, all those things are in folks' mind until the Patriots announce something, but the decision has been made, and it remains that they are going to part ways.
Well, guys, a lot of focus on replacing Bill, the coach, but what about Bill, the GM? Because really that is the bigger issue, signing Juju and letting Jacoby Myers walk, blowing the offensive line situation, ignoring offensive skill players in the draft while using a fourth-round pick on Chad Ryland. The list goes on and on and on of questionable decisions. So that leads us to our poll question for today. What is more important for the Patriots to get right, the head coach position or the GM? Go to NBCSportsBoston.com/early edition. You can also scan the QR code, which is about to pop up right there on your screen. Ooh.
1-to-1.
Split vote right now, head coach, general manager. Phil, I go general manager.
Vote right now, break the tie.
I go general manager, not because head coach doesn't matter, but to me, if you have the right people in place, it's easier to make a head coach look good, right?
No question. And I would say the most important decision that the organization makes, of course, head coach matters, GM matters. Just getting it right at the quarterback position might matter most, because what we saw this year is proof, the last 2 years, if you want to lump in 2022, is proof that even the greatest coach of all time can't survive a bad quarterback situation. So if that means the general manager is more important, then that means the general manager is more important.
I would agree with Phil. I mean, in July, August, and September, it'll be head coach. But right now, as you point out, they went 4-13. They didn't go 4-13 because Bill's a bad coach and gets grumpy and makes things hard on the players. They went 4-13 because of the decisions made along the offensive line, in free agency, in the draft, depth positions, et cetera. That's why they're a bad team in picking third. So figure out who you have coming in to make the decisions, to make the correct decisions, so that it is collaborative, but there is someone with final say. And then additionally, you have to have, to me, the important thing about head coach, more than anything else might be, the tenor around the team, the comfort level, the way this team really, who are they? What are they about post-Belichick in terms of how they are going to do their business with players, with other teams in the league, interpersonally between different departments? That all is very important too, and I think the head coach will largely dictate that.
So I may be naive here, but I think we've basically talked about three guys for the head coaching job, right? Extensively, adding Mike Vrabel to the mix, but it's been Mayo or Belichick. Blah, blah, blah. I think all three of them could do the job.
Sure.
If the GM does his, whoever that person is bringing in the talent. If they have a good roster, I think Bill Belichick can still coach. I think Gerard Mayo is a rising star, leader of men coach, and Mike Vrabel has proven if you give him talent, he can go to a AFC title game, he can win a division. So, but we haven't spent a lot of time, like we throw around, oh, Adam Peters is a good name, or Elliott Wolf should just get promoted. That's the one that matters, because if you don't bring in more talent, you're not going to have a good coach. And if you blow the third pick in the draft, we're going to have a lot to talk about in coming years.
And we keep talking about how it's almost a foregone conclusion that it'll be Gerard Mayo and it sounds like it'll be Elliott Wolf. Is that the right path? Like, is that really changing that much within the walls of Foxborough that there's going to make a huge difference because you're not bringing anybody in from the outside?
It's important to the Patriots to maintain the DNA of what they've been for the past 20 years. So to them, it matters. To us, I mean, honestly, what head coach, general manager combo do you prefer and why? What kind of intel does anyone have on different GM candidates around the league who are not already running teams to say, well, that guy can't do it or this guy can do it? I mean, it's, as we look at draft after draft after draft, what's the yield? What's the success rate on draft picks? It's not great. So you have to have a vision for what you want to be, where your shortcomings are and where your strengths are and what you want to build. So whoever's eyes are dictating it, there is no better option that anyone can persuasively say is there. Is there? I mean,
it makes it really difficult because most of the general manager options we're talking about haven't run their own teams yet. Right. They don't run the draft. Adam Peters sounds like a great example of a fantastic general manager option, but if you look at those Niners drafts, yes, you got Fred Warner in the 3rd round and you got George Kittle in the 5th. They missed on a lot of picks really high in the draft, including a quarterback very recently. Yeah. So how big of a factor was Adam Peters in the Trey Lance decision? Those are the kinds of questions that you could have on basically any general manager candidate, which is why I do come back to the Crafts are going to want someone that they have a relationship with, because even if that person wasn't necessarily making the picks year after year after year, they understand their thought process. They understand what kind of intelligence they're working with. They might even understand what kind of evaluator that individual is, and it helps make it an easier decision.
And I think we have to be careful of just assuming, oh, you worked under somebody, so you think exactly like that person. Like, you worked under Bill Belichick, so you're going to do everything Bill did. No. I mean, is Bill Belichick Bill Parcells? No. And is Bill Parcells, Ray, whoever the hell he coached under in the first time in New England? Like, these guys are smart guys that they always say football is what? Stealing properly. Basically stealing from the right places. So steal from your mentor, like Elliott Wolf might steal some things from Bill Belichick. He may steal from Matt Groh. He may steal from Ron Wolf and the Packers, right? Like, there's a breadth of knowledge that he brings to the table. But in the end, it's about the picks they make. Phil, like, it's very simple. And they're going to miss some picks. They're just going to.
All right.